Have you ever had a feeling that something was about to happen and then it did? Or maybe you've known what someone was going to say before they even opened their mouth. If so, you might have a powerful intuition. Intuition is like an inner voice or a gut feeling that guides us, even when we don't know why. It's a kind of knowing that goes beyond what we can see or touch. Some people have intuition so strong, it's almost like a superpower. Today, we're going to talk about 10 signs that show you have an incredibly powerful intuition. These signs are so rare that only about 1% of people have all of them. As we go through each sign, think about how many of them you have. You might be surprised to find out just how intuitive you really are. Have you ever had a strong feeling about something, even when you couldn't explain why? Maybe you felt like you shouldn't take a certain road on your way to work, only to find out later that there was a big accident on that route. Or perhaps you had a hunch that you should call a friend, only to discover they really needed someone to talk to at that moment. These are what we call gut feelings, and they're a big sign of strong intuition. Gut feelings are those instincts or hunches that pop up in our minds, often without any clear reason. They're called gut feelings because sometimes you can actually feel them in your stomach area, like butterflies or a tightness. For people with powerful intuition, these gut feelings happen a lot, and what's more, they often turn out to be right. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're about to leave for a trip, and suddenly you get a strong feeling that you should check your car's tire pressure. You might think, "That's odd. I just had my car serviced last week." But the feeling is so strong that you decide to check anyway. Lo and behold, you find that one of your tires is low on air. By listening to your gut feeling, you might have prevented a flat tire or even an accident on your trip. For people with highly developed intuition, these kinds of experiences happen regularly. It's not just once in a blue moon. It's a common occurrence. They might get a feeling about which job offer to accept, which house to buy, or even which people to trust. And more often than not, when they follow these gut feelings, things work out well. But here's the thing. Having these gut feelings is only part of the equation. What really sets intuitive people apart is that they pay attention to these feelings and often act on them. They've learned to trust their inner voice, even when it doesn't make logical sense at the time. It's important to note that this doesn't mean every single gut feeling will be 100% accurate. Even people with very strong intuition can sometimes misinterpret their feelings or be influenced by fears or wishful thinking. The key is that overall, their gut feelings tend to be right more often than not. So, how can you tell if you have this sign of powerful intuition? Start paying attention to those moments when you get a strong feeling about something, especially if it seems to come out of nowhere. Keep a journal or make notes on your phone about these feelings and what happens when you follow them. Over time, you might notice a pattern of your gut feelings being right. Remember, intuition isn't about predicting the future with perfect accuracy. It's about tapping into a deeper level of awareness that can guide you in your daily life. If you find that you often have gut feelings that turn out to be correct, congratulations. You're showing a strong sign of powerful intuition. Have you ever been talking to someone and suddenly felt that something was off? Maybe their words sounded fine, but you just knew they weren't telling the truth. If this happens to you often, and you're usually right, it's another big sign of powerful intuition. Being able to sense dishonesty isn't about being a human lie detector or analyzing every little detail of someone's behavior. It's a deeper, more instinctive feeling. People with strong intuition often describe it as a sense of unease or a feeling that something doesn't add up, even if they can't put their finger on exactly what it is. This ability goes beyond just spotting obvious lies. It's about sensing when someone is hiding something, not being fully honest, or when their words don't match their true feelings or intentions. It's like having an internal alarm system that goes off when something isn't quite right. For example, let's say you're talking to a friend who's telling you about their weekend. They're smiling and saying they had a great time, but something in you just doesn't believe it. Later, you might find out that they actually had a big fight with their partner or received some bad news. Your intuition picked up on the discrepancy between their words and their true feelings, even if you couldn't explain why at the time. This intuitive ability isn't about reading body language or facial expressions, although those can certainly play a part. It's more about picking up on subtle energies and unspoken signals that most people miss. Highly intuitive people often say they can feel the truth, even when all outward signs point to something else. In the workplace, this skill can be incredibly valuable. You might sense when a colleague is not being entirely truthful about a project's progress, or when a potential business partner isn't disclosing all the important information. This doesn't mean you should automatically distrust everyone, but it does give you a helpful tool for navigating complex social and professional situations. It's worth noting that this ability can sometimes be a double-edged sword. Being able to sense dishonesty can make you more cautious in your relationships, which can be both good and bad. On one hand, it can protect you from those who might try to take advantage of you. On the other hand, if you're not careful, it might make you overly suspicious or distrustful. The key is to use this intuitive skill as a tool for gathering information, not as the sole basis for your decisions. If you sense someone is being dishonest, take it as a cue to pay closer attention and maybe ask more questions. Don't automatically assume the worst, but do trust your instincts enough to dig a little deeper. For those with this intuitive ability, it's important to remember that not everyone will understand or believe in your sixth sense for dishonesty. You might pick up on something that others don't see, which can sometimes lead to misunderstandings. That's why it's often wise to keep these intuitions to yourself unless you have concrete evidence to back them up. If you find that you frequently sense when people are being dishonest and your hunches usually turn out to be correct, you're displaying another strong sign of powerful intuition. This skill, when used wisely, can help you navigate your personal and professional relationships with greater awareness and insight. Dreams have fascinated humans for thousands of years. We've always wondered what they mean and where they come from. For some people, dreams are more than just nighttime stories or jumbled memories. They're windows into something deeper, and sometimes they even offer glimpses of things to come. If you often have vivid dreams that later turn out to be connected to real-life events, you might have a highly developed intuition. When we talk about vivid dreams, we're not just talking about dreams that feel real while you're having them. We're talking about dreams that stick with you after you wake up. They might be so clear and detailed that you remember them for days, weeks, or even years afterward. These dreams often have a different quality to them compared to your regular dreams. They might feel more intense, more colorful, or just somehow more significant. Now, when we say these dreams come true, we don't necessarily mean that they predict the future in a straightforward way. It's rarely as simple as dreaming about winning the lottery and then actually winning it the next day. Instead, these prophetic dreams often contain symbols or situations that later show up in your waking life in some form. For example, you might dream about a long-lost friend, only to run into them unexpectedly a few days later. Or you could dream about being in a strange building with red walls, and then later find yourself in a similar building in real life. Sometimes, the connection between the dream and reality might be less literal but still meaningful. You might dream about swimming in a vast ocean and later find yourself dealing with overwhelming emotions or a big life change. People with strong intuition often report having these kinds of dreams regularly. They might not predict major world events, but they do seem to tap into something beyond our normal awareness. It's like their intuition is so strong that it keeps working even when they're asleep, picking up on subtle signals and information that their conscious mind might miss. These intuitive dreams can be incredibly helpful. They might give you a heads up about potential challenges coming your way, or they could provide insights into problems you're trying to solve. Some people even report getting creative ideas or solutions to problems in their dreams. If you think you might have this sign of intuition, start keeping a dream journal. Every morning, as soon as you wake up, write down everything you can remember about your dreams. Don't worry about whether they make sense or seem important. Just write down whatever you recall. Over time, you might start to notice patterns or connections between your dreams and your waking life. It's important to remember that not every dream will be prophetic, even for people with strong intuition. Many dreams are simply our brains processing information or working through emotions. The key is to pay attention to those dreams that feel different, the ones that stick with you and seem to carry a special significance. Also, be patient with yourself as you explore this aspect of your intuition. Remembering and interpreting dreams is a skill that can be developed over time. The more attention you pay to your dreams, the better you'll likely become at recalling them and understanding their significance. For those who do have prophetic dreams, it can sometimes feel overwhelming or even scary. You might worry about what your dreams mean or feel a sense of responsibility if you dream about something bad happening. Remember, even if your dreams do sometimes come true, you're not responsible for predicting or preventing every possible event. Your dreams are a tool for personal insight and growth, not a burden. If you find that you often have vivid, meaningful dreams that seem to connect to future events, you're showing another strong sign of powerful intuition. This ability to tap into deeper levels of awareness even while you're sleeping is a rare and valuable gift. By paying attention to your dreams and learning to work with them, you can deepen your intuitive abilities and gain valuable insights into your life and the world around you. Have you ever had the experience of thinking about a friend or family member, only to have them call or text you moments later? If this happens to you frequently, it's a strong sign that you have a powerful intuition. This phenomenon is often called telepathic communication or psychic connection, but you don't need to believe in the supernatural to experience it. This intuitive ability goes beyond just random coincidences. For people with strong intuition, it happens often enough that it becomes hard to ignore. You might be going about your day when suddenly a person pops into your mind for no apparent reason. Maybe you haven't thought about them in weeks or months. Then, out of the blue, your phone rings and it's them on the other end. Or you might get a sudden urge to reach out to someone, only to find out later that they were going through a tough time and really needed support at that exact moment. These experiences can be both exciting and a bit unsettling. It's like having a mental antenna that picks up signals from people you're connected to, even when they're far away. This ability seems to be strongest with people you're close to emotionally, like family members, close friends, or romantic partners. But it can also happen with acquaintances or people you haven't seen in a long time. For example, you might be sitting at work when your old college roommate suddenly comes to mind. You haven't spoken in years, but for some reason, you can't shake the thought of them. Later that day, you check your email and find a message from them, reaching out to reconnect. These kinds of experiences can make you feel deeply connected to others and to the world around you. It's important to note that this intuitive connection doesn't always mean something dramatic is happening. Sometimes you might think of someone and they contact you about something mundane, like asking for a recipe or sharing a funny meme. The key is the timing, the fact that you thought of them right before they reached out. If you think you might have this intuitive ability, try keeping track of these occurrences. When someone pops into your mind unexpectedly, make a note of it. Then see if they contact you within the next day or so. Over time, you might start to notice patterns or realize that it happens more often than you initially thought. Some people with this ability say they can even sense the nature of the upcoming contact. They might get a feeling of excitement when thinking about a person, only to later receive good news from them. Or they might feel a sense of concern, which is followed by a call from that person sharing a problem they're facing. This intuitive connection can be a powerful tool in your relationships. It might prompt you to reach out to someone who needs support, even if they haven't explicitly asked for help. It can also deepen your sense of connection with the people in your life, reminding you of the invisible threads that link us all together. However, it's important to use this ability responsibly. Just because you're thinking of someone doesn't always mean you need to act on it immediately. And if you do reach out, be mindful of boundaries. Not everyone will understand or believe in this kind of intuitive connection, so it's often best to keep the focus on your care for them rather than on your psychic abilities. If you find that you frequently think of people right before they contact you, congratulations! You're displaying another sign of powerful intuition. This ability to tune into others, even across distances, is a special gift that can enrich your relationships and your life in many ways. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt that something was off, even though everything looked normal? Or maybe you've entered a space and instantly felt uplifted and energized. If you frequently experience these kinds of sensations, you might have the intuitive ability to sense the energy in a room. When we talk about energy in this context, we're not referring to electricity or any kind of measurable physical force. Instead, we're talking about the overall feeling or atmosphere of a place. It's the collective emotional and psychological state of the people who have been in that space, as well as the lingering effects of events that have occurred there. People with strong intuition often describe being able to feel this energy as soon as they enter a room. It's like they have an extra sense that picks up on subtle cues that others might miss. This ability can manifest in different ways for different people. Some might feel it as a physical sensation, like a tightness in their chest in a tense room or a lightness in their body in a joyful space. Others might experience it more as an emotional response, suddenly feeling anxious in a stressful environment or peaceful in a calm one. For example, you might walk into a meeting room at work and immediately sense tension, even if everyone is sitting quietly. Your intuition is picking up on the unspoken conflicts or stress in the room. On the flip side, you might enter a friend's home and feel instantly at ease, sensing the love and warmth that fills the space. This ability to sense energy can be incredibly useful in many situations. In social settings, it can help you navigate complex dynamics and respond appropriately to unspoken feelings. In professional contexts, it can give you valuable information about the mood of a meeting or the state of a team, allowing you to adjust your approach accordingly. People with this intuitive skill often find themselves being the mood reader in groups. They're the ones who can tell when an argument is brewing, even if no one has raised their voice yet. They might also be the first to notice when someone in a group is feeling left out or uncomfortable, even if that person hasn't said anything. This sensitivity to energy can extend beyond just picking up on human emotions. Some people report being able to sense the vibe of places with no people present. They might feel a sense of peace in a beautiful natural setting, or pick up on lingering sadness in a place where tragic events have occurred. While this ability can be a powerful tool, it can also be overwhelming at times. Highly intuitive people might find themselves easily affected by the moods and energies of others. They might feel drained after being in crowded or emotionally charged environments. Learning to manage this sensitivity is an important part of developing this intuitive skill. If you think you might have this ability, start paying more attention to your initial feelings when you enter new spaces. Trust your first impressions, even if you can't immediately explain why you feel a certain way. Over time, you might start to notice patterns in how different types of energy affect you. It's also worth noting that this ability can be developed and refined over time. The more you pay attention to the energy around you, the better you'll likely become at interpreting and working with it. Some people find practices like meditation or mindfulness helpful in honing this skill. Remember, being able to sense the energy in a room doesn't mean you're responsible for fixing every negative situation you encounter. Sometimes, simply being aware of the energy can help you navigate a situation more effectively or take care of your own well-being by removing yourself from negative environments when necessary. If you often find yourself picking up on the unspoken atmosphere of a room or space, you're showing another sign of powerful intuition. This ability to sense energy can provide you with valuable insights and help you navigate both social and professional situations with greater awareness and skill. Do you often find yourself noticing small details that others seem to miss? Are you easily affected by your environment, whether it's the lighting, noise level, or even the weather? If so, you might be displaying another sign of powerful intuition. High sensitivity to your surroundings. This sensitivity goes beyond just having good eyesight or hearing. It's a heightened awareness of everything around you, including things that many people might not consciously register. This can include physical sensations like being bothered by tags in clothing or certain textures, or more subtle experiences like feeling overwhelmed in busy or chaotic environments. People with this intuitive trait often describe feeling like their senses are turned up to high volume all the time. They might be the first to notice when something in a room has changed, even if it's just a picture being slightly moved. They might also be more affected by things like bright lights, loud noises, or strong smells than others around them. For example, you might walk into a cafe and immediately notice the flickering of a fluorescent light that no one else seems bothered by. Or you might find yourself unable to concentrate in an open office because you're picking up on all the small sounds and movements around you. This sensitivity can extend to natural environments too. You might feel a deep connection to nature and be highly attuned to changes in weather or seasons. This heightened sensitivity is closely linked to intuition because it allows you to pick up on subtle cues and information that others might miss. Your brain is constantly processing a wealth of sensory input, which can contribute to those gut feelings or sudden insights that are hallmarks of intuition. However, this sensitivity can also be challenging at times. Highly sensitive people often find themselves easily overwhelmed in busy or stimulating environments. They might need more downtime than others to recharge after social interactions or after spending time in crowded places. They might also be more affected by other people's moods and emotions, sometimes feeling like they're absorbing the feelings of those around them. If you think you might have this trait, it's important to learn how to manage your sensitivity. This might involve creating a calming home environment, setting boundaries to protect your energy, or developing techniques to ground yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed. For instance, you might find that you need to take regular breaks during the workday to step outside or find a quiet space. You might be particular about the lighting in your home, preferring soft, warm light to harsh overhead lighting. Or you might have specific self-care routines that help you decompress after being in stimulating environments. It's worth noting that while this sensitivity can be challenging, it's also a tremendous gift. Your ability to notice and process subtle details can make you exceptionally perceptive and empathetic. You might excel in fields that require attention to detail or an understanding of nuanced human behavior. Many highly sensitive people find fulfilling careers in areas like counseling, art, writing, or design. This sensitivity can also enrich your personal life in many ways. You might have a deep appreciation for beauty, finding joy in small details that others overlook. Your heightened awareness can lead to rich sensory experiences, whether it's savoring a delicious meal or being moved by a piece of music. If you find that you're highly sensitive to your surroundings, paying attention to small details and being easily affected by your environment, you're showing another sign of powerful intuition. This sensitivity, while sometimes challenging, is a valuable trait that can provide you with rich insights and experiences. By learning to manage and harness this sensitivity, you can tap into a deep well of intuitive wisdom and live a more aware and connected life. Have you ever been in a conversation where you just knew what the other person was going to say next? It's like you could hear the words in your head before they even opened their mouth. If this happens to you frequently, you're showing another strong sign of powerful intuition. This ability is more than just finishing someone's sentences occasionally. For people with strong intuition, it's a regular occurrence. You might find yourself anticipating not just the general idea of what someone's going to say, but the exact words they're about to use. It's as if you're tapping into their thought process in real time. This intuitive skill often comes from a combination of keen observation and subconscious processing. Your mind is constantly picking up on subtle cues, body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and patterns of speech. Even when you're not consciously aware of it, your brain is putting all these pieces together to predict what's coming next. For example, you might be talking with a friend about their job, and suddenly you know they're about to tell you they're thinking of quitting. Or in a meeting at work, you might anticipate your boss's next point before they make it. This ability can make you an excellent communicator and listener, as you're often one step ahead in the conversation. This intuitive skill can be particularly strong with people you know well. The more time you spend with someone, the more your intuition learns their patterns of thought and speech. You might find that you can practically read the mind of your best friend or long-term partner. However, people with strong intuition often report that this ability works even with strangers or in new situations. You might meet someone for the first time and find yourself anticipating their responses with uncanny accuracy. While this ability can be impressive, it's important to use it wisely. Constantly finishing people's sentences or anticipating their thoughts can sometimes make others uncomfortable. They might feel like you're not really listening or that you're rushing them. It's often best to keep these intuitive insights to yourself unless it's appropriate to share them. This ability to anticipate what others will say is closely linked to empathy and emotional intelligence. It shows that you're highly attuned to others, picking up on their thoughts and feelings even when they're not explicitly expressed. This can make you an excellent friend, partner, or colleague, as you're often able to understand and respond to others' needs before they even voice them. If you find yourself frequently knowing what others are going to say before they say it, you're displaying another sign of powerful intuition. This ability can help you navigate social situations with ease and build deeper, more understanding relationships with those around you. First impressions can be powerful things. For most people, they're just initial reactions that may or may not turn out to be accurate. But for those with strong intuition, first impressions are often spot-on judgments that prove to be remarkably accurate over time. If you find that your initial gut feelings about people or situations tend to be correct, even when you can't explain why, you're showing another sign of powerful intuition. This ability to quickly and accurately assess people and situations is like having an internal compass that guides you in your interactions and decisions. People with this intuitive skill often report having a strong sense about someone as soon as they meet them. It's not about judging a book by its cover or making snap judgments based on appearance. Instead, it's a deeper, more holistic assessment that takes in everything from body language and tone of voice to the overall energy a person gives off. For example, you might meet a new coworker and immediately feel that they're trustworthy and competent, even before you've seen them work. Over time, your initial impression proves to be accurate as they become a reliable and skilled team member. Or you might have a sense of unease about a business opportunity that looks great on paper, only to find out later that there were hidden problems you somehow sensed from the start. This ability to trust and rely on first impressions can be incredibly valuable in many areas of life. In personal relationships, it can help you quickly identify people who are likely to become good friends or potential partners. In professional settings, it can give you an edge in assessing potential hires, business partners, or clients. However, it's important to remember that while these intuitive first impressions are often accurate, they're not infallible. Even people with strong intuition can sometimes be influenced by biases or misread a situation. The key is to use these first impressions as a starting point, not as the final word. If you have this intuitive skill, you might find that you make decisions quickly and confidently, often going with your gut feeling even when others are still deliberating. You might also notice that you're good at reading between the lines, picking up on unspoken dynamics in groups or sensing when there's more to a situation than meets the eye. Learning to trust your first impressions can take time, especially if you've been taught to always be logical and analytical. But for those with strong intuition, learning to value and trust these initial reactions can lead to better decision-making and more authentic interactions with others. If you find that your first impressions are usually right, even when you can't immediately explain why, you're showing another sign of powerful intuition. This ability to quickly and accurately assess people and situations is a valuable skill that can guide you in many areas of life. Empathy is a quality many people have, but for those with strong intuition, it goes beyond just understanding how others feel. If you often find yourself sensing or even feeling other people's emotions as if they were your own, you're displaying another sign of powerful intuition. This ability is sometimes called emotional intuition or being an empath. It's like having an emotional radar that's always on, picking up on the feelings of those around you, even when they're not explicitly expressed. People with this intuitive skill often describe walking into a room and immediately sensing the emotional atmosphere. You might feel a wave of joy at a celebration, even before anyone starts laughing or smiling. Or you might sense tension in a meeting, picking up on underlying conflicts that haven't been voiced. This ability goes beyond just reading body language or facial expressions. It's a deeper, more visceral sense of what others are feeling. You might find yourself suddenly feeling sad or anxious for no apparent reason, only to discover later that someone close to you was going through a tough time at that exact moment. For example, you might be having a conversation with a friend who's telling you about their day. On the surface, everything seems fine, but you can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. Later, your friend confides in you about a problem they've been hesitant to share. Your intuition picked up on their hidden distress even before they were ready to talk about it. This emotional intuition can make you an incredibly supportive friend, partner, or colleague. You're often able to offer comfort or support to others even before they ask for it. You might find that people are drawn to you, feeling understood and heard in your presence. However, this ability can also be challenging. Being constantly tuned in to others' emotions can be overwhelming at times. You might find it difficult to distinguish between your own feelings and those you're picking up from others. This can lead to emotional exhaustion, especially in crowded or emotionally charged environments. Learning to manage this ability is crucial. This might involve developing techniques to ground yourself and create emotional boundaries. Some people find meditation or visualization exercises helpful in managing their empathic abilities. It's also important to remember that while you can sense others' emotions, you're not responsible for fixing everyone's feelings. Learning when to offer support and when to step back is an important part of managing this intuitive gift. If you find that you easily pick up on other people's emotions, often feeling them as if they were your own, you're showing another sign of powerful intuition. This emotional sensitivity, while sometimes challenging, is a precious gift that can help you form deep, meaningful connections with others and navigate social situations with grace and understanding. Have you ever been puzzling over a problem, only to have the solution suddenly pop into your head out of nowhere? Or maybe you've experienced a moment of clarity about your life, or a situation that seemed to come from out of the blue. These aha moments or sudden insights are another strong sign of powerful intuition. These flashes of intuition often feel like a light bulb going off in your mind. There are those moments when things suddenly click into place, and you understand something in a way you didn't before. It's like your mind has been working on a puzzle in the background, and suddenly all the pieces come together. People with strong intuition often report having these insights regularly. They might come while you're doing something completely unrelated to the problem at hand, while you're in the shower, out for a walk, or just as you're falling asleep. It's as if your subconscious mind has been processing information and suddenly delivers the answer when you least expect it. For example, you might have been struggling with a difficult decision about your career. You've been weighing pros and cons for weeks, feeling stuck and unsure. Then, while you're cooking dinner one evening, you suddenly have a clear realization about what you need to do. The answer feels right in a way you can't fully explain, but you know in your gut that it's the correct path. These intuitive insights aren't limited to personal decisions. They can apply to all sorts of problems or situations. You might suddenly understand how to approach a challenging project at work, or have an innovative idea for a creative project. Scientists and artists throughout history have reported experiencing these kinds of intuitive breakthroughs. What's interesting about these aha moments is that they often come when your conscious mind is relaxed or focused on something else. This is because intuition often works best when your analytical, logical mind isn't trying to force a solution. It's like your intuition needs some quiet space to be heard. People with strong intuition learn to trust and value these sudden insights. They understand that sometimes the best solutions come not from relentless analysis, but from allowing their intuition to work its magic. However, it's important to note that while these intuitive insights can be powerful, they shouldn't be the only factor in making important decisions. It's often best to use these aha moments as a starting point, then follow up with more conscious analysis and fact-checking. Learning to cultivate these intuitive insights often involves creating space for them in your life. This might mean taking regular breaks from problem solving to do something relaxing or enjoyable. It might also involve practices like meditation or journaling, which can help quiet your conscious mind and allow your intuition to speak more clearly. If you often experience these aha moments or sudden insights, especially about complex problems or important life decisions, you're showing another sign of powerful intuition. These flashes of intuitive knowledge can be incredibly valuable, providing creative solutions and deep insights that logical thinking alone might not reach. Having a powerful intuition is like having a superpower. It's an inner wisdom that guides you, helps you understand others, and provides insights that go beyond logical thinking. If you've recognized several of these signs in yourself, you likely have a highly developed intuition. Remember, intuition isn't about being psychic or having supernatural abilities. It's about being deeply attuned to yourself, others, and the world around you. It's about picking up on subtle cues and processing information in ways that aren't always conscious or logical. While having a strong intuition can be incredibly valuable, it's also important to remember that it's just one tool in your decision-making toolkit. Balancing your intuitive insights with logical analysis and factual information often leads to the best outcomes. If you want to develop your intuition further, there are many ways to do so. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, and journaling can help you become more aware of your intuitive insights. Paying attention to your dreams, your body's reactions, and your first impressions can also help strengthen your intuitive abilities. Most importantly, learning to trust your intuition takes time and practice. The more you pay attention to these intuitive signals and see how they play out in your life, the more confidence you'll gain in your intuitive abilities. Whether you have all 10 of these signs or just a few, remember that your intuition is a powerful tool. By learning to recognize and trust your intuitive insights, you can navigate life with greater wisdom, make more aligned decisions, and connect more deeply with yourself and others. So, the next time you have a gut feeling, a sudden insight, or sense something that others don't, pay attention. Your intuition might just be trying to tell you something important. Trust it, explore it, and see where it leads you. You might be surprised at the wisdom and insights you uncover when you learn to listen to your inner voice.